Hello and welcome. I'm Aspissus, and I'm going to be your host today from the Conclave of Aratar, bringing you some community information to help you decide on where you want to settle yourself within our ranks. And we hold these casts every Wednesday at 8 Eastern, and Sundays we try to shoot for 4. Today's going to be a little bit later. I encourage you to join in the Twitch chat to discuss the topics of the interview. For those of you who are new to this channel, we're a community gathered around the upcoming game, The Chronicles of Elyria, a game in development by Soulbound Studios. If you're interested, if this cast kind of piques some interest in the game in the studio, there'll be a link below to take you to their website. Like mentioned earlier, we, the hosts, the guests, are members of the Conclave of Aratar. It's a duchy, a community within the Kingdom of Vornair, and we're going to be introducing you to some members of our community and discussing some of the topics about our community and about the upcoming game, The Chronicles of Elyria. Joining us this week as guests are Apoc and Whiskey. If you want to say hi, Apoc, Whiskey.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so APOC Whiskey, you guys are you're a member of a community from a different game we played with, the Ardent Maples. Um, we're going to talk a little bit about the Ardent Maples, about your community, about the things that you guys have done and what you enjoy doing. And we really want to give you a chance to sell your brand, to talk about your community, talk about your play style, share in the fun that is the Chronicles of Elyria. Um, and with that in mind, we're going to be asking you a few questions, things about your gaming background, about leadership ideas. APOC, you're a mayor in your community. I believe there's 2 others, Nacho and Pox.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So I was asking you before this, fun terms. I like that there's 3 people, 3 mayors from the same community all banding together. If you're anywhere in manufacturing, or if you've bought, say, fuel filters or other parts, 3M comes to mind. I might be trademarked, who knows. But you came up with a cute little idea to try out for some name recognition for the 3 of you. What was that again? That was
It was the M&M's Maple Mayors.
the Maple Mirrors, the M&Ms. I like that. That kind of sticks out there. Yeah, so
It's definitely kind of fun.
Yep. So we've got you here today, APOC. We've got Whiskey to, help give in some information. You guys have both been part of that Ardent Maples community for a while now. We want to give you a chance now to tell us a little bit about your gaming background, and we'll start out with just a hair of information about the Ardent Maples history and your history with the Ardent Maples.
So I'm one of the original founders of the Maples. We were a PvP group, played Life is Feudal Your Own, and we eventually met another group called the Ardent Keepers, which was another PvP group owned by Captain Nacho Cheese. And we thought it was a good idea coming towards the MMO for Life is Feudal that we should merge groups and form this kind of big PvP group that would be able to train people and expand and actually put our influence out into the world.
Yeah. So you guys, had a joining at types, being 2 different communities. I mean, um, you mentioned PvP. If for those of you who don't know, the game that they were talking about, Life is Feudal, is a sandbox survival game with heavy creation, PvP, crafting elements inside of it. The Duchy of Aratar, the Conclave Aratar community, actually met up with the Ardent Maples through the Kingdom of Vornair when we were looking for MMOs to play as we wait that nice never-ending transition between development and release. Like we've said on past casts, the Chronicles of Elyria is a game in the making, not something that we can put our fingers on at the moment. And so games like the Life is Feudal game allows us to scratch those itches. Are there other games that you guys played as a community, as an individual that really you're excited about, I guess?
We're actually looking forward to one Chronicles of Elyria, Star Citizen, and maybe a few others. But we're not just like a Life is Feudal group. We're actually what we've decided to create is a gaming community for like anyone who just enjoys games. So you don't necessarily have to be playing games with the entirety of the group, but make sure like people want to hop into our team speak, and if they want to like play, let's say PUBG with one another, they have that option. Just hop in the channel. Everyone like plays together, gets along, has fun.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
those are some few MMOs that we are looking into.
yeah. And it sounds like, from PUBG, Life is Feudal, the other ones that you've mentioned, you tend to run on things that are games that allow you to set yourself up against other individuals. They're competitive in one way, shape, or form. Do you feel like that's a tenet of your community? You like competitive atmospheres, allowing yourself to take two mountains of communities and smash them against each other, that you enjoy those sort of things.
Absolutely. We are always pushing and striving ourselves to be better, stronger, closer as a group. We're not only just a PvP group. We have many people who, especially like in Life of Steel, who are just into crafting and role play and stuff like that. So we're not just a pure PvP community. We accept everybody that's interested in just playing the game, and we're a very casual group. There's not really many restrictions we have for our group, as long as people aren't being harassed or like people aren't having fun is like the main. As long as everyone's having fun, you're gonna fit right in. So we're just a very casual group, and we just want to ensure everyone's having a good time.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. There's a balance at play in communities where, you want to respect the rights of the individuals to play what they want, to be role play, to do what they want with the time that they're given online, and being able to say, hey, as a person looking at a community to join, we want you to do stuff that makes you happy, but you need to, there are limits to it. You can't have griefers, you can't have individuals who disrespect or diminish the participation of the community as a whole. But being a very open, a very welcoming community is very important. Um, so I think that's a really good thing there. So we've been talking about, the gaming backgrounds, the histories, the things that you guys have enjoyed from the Maples standpoint. Um, so whiskey, APOC here, those names, you know, where'd they come from? What did you wake up one morning and you're like, you know what? I need a username today. It's APOC and it sticks, or did you maybe have a fifth and then say, I like myself a fifth of whiskey. I'm gonna stick with that in the game. How did you decide on those sort of things?
You want to go first, Whiskey?
So there was definitely some drinking involved. End of story, really.
His
I
favorite
just
drink
like the
is
name.
whiskey.
As it should be, as it should be.
Yeah.
A nice whiskey goes down well. I'm a tequila drinker, so
I'm
that
so
that
sorry.
oh no, don't be sorry. I love me a good burning drink here. Um, but yeah, no. Woke up hungover one day, I imagine whiskey, and you were like, "This is my life." I like that. I respect that as a fellow connoisseur of alcoholic beverages.
It is pretty good. I must agree.
How about yourself, APOC?
I've been using APOC for probably since I was a kid and I started originally like gaming. I think the first game I played was Age of Empires, the very first. Oh, what is this? So then I created my little username. The first thing that popped in my mind was like Apocalypse. So then like that's too long, too much of a mouthful. So APOC. And then over the years, I would constantly like add numbers to it to like my age at the time. So it'd be like 16, 17, 18, 19. I was like, oh well, that's not really personal or like original. So I was like, oh well, how about ApocCali? I'm from California, so that's kind of a little bit different. I haven't seen any ApocCalis around. That way, I can still have my original name, but kind of make it like original to myself.
Yeah, throwing where you're from. I mean, you're one of several people from California. I don't think there's more than seven over there. So, um, no. So apocalypse you mentioned. Are you a harbinger? Are you an individual who, as you say as you say apocalypse there. Um, you know, I guess what I'm shooting for here is, when we talk about apocalypses, when we talk about those sort of mentalities, those sort of games, those sort of things, something has to start it all. Um, would you be a person who would be responsible for the start of the apocalypse, or are you one of the few souls who are preventing such an occurrence?
I would say I could be on both sides of the fence. I naturally don't go around starting things with people, but if something is started with myself or my group, I am definitely the one to finish it, go out and I guess quote unquote create the apocalypse for the enemy. So I make sure it's known that we're not a group that takes things like on the chin and just walks away.
You don't turn the other cheek, if someone steps over the line with APOC, he will bring the apocalypse on you. I like that. I mean, you could put that on a banner, put it on your borders and say, hey, guess what? You done fucked up, man.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm always open for like diplomacy if like something happens. Like all it takes is one like member to do something that kind against another group, and it kind of starts something. So even if it's not intended by the other group, so that I mean, diplomacy is always open to us. We're always willing to listen and discuss things, but if things can't be discussed or like fixed through diplomacy, we'll definitely handle it militarily.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, so militarily, you have to. Military engagements, military situations that require force to resolve, very quickly get complicated, especially over large distances with large forces or with very specific tactics. And a lot of what holds that together is the individuals who are in charge or who are coordinating such actions, such campaigns. So we want to kind of transition here and talk about some leadership principles that you might draw upon for inspiration. Um, so yeah, when you look at yourself as a leader of I don't know what your settlement name is going to be. I'm not sure if
It's still a work in progress.
whip settlement whip settlement whip. When problems come up to you, when problems come up to your community, what are some of the things that you think about when you guys try to decide what is an appropriate action?
Well, we have a council in our leadership, so there's not specifically one leader dictating what happens. If there's a big enough thing that's brought to our attention that we feel that's affecting the group, we will definitely discuss it. We feel like we could use some suggestions from the group of how to handle things. We'll definitely bring it to the community. Anything regarding the community we'll definitely get them involved, because at the end of the day, everyone's a part of the community, and we want to make sure everyone feels a part of the community and is enjoying themselves. So we handle things many different ways. What we have is a three strike rule. The first one, obviously, the first time someone does something, it's a warning. Second time, another warning. Third time, then things are going to be a lot more serious. Possibly even removal from the group. We believe everyone should get a second, possibly like a first and second chance. There's like a no tolerance policy, because everyone has a bad day or everyone makes mistakes. So we want to give everyone a chance to make up for any mistakes or things that happen.
Yeah, a true community approach to the problems that exist inside the community. A very, very, I don't use the word understanding. It is understanding, don't get me wrong, but I think in a more appropriate word is, a very appropriate response. Like, you know, get through it, put it behind you, continue to have value, to be a happy community, at least a community that supports each other. And I think that's very important, especially from the leadership side. Communities are live and die by both the effort that the community members put into their communities and the decisions that the community leaders, the people where the buck stops, the decisions they make. And so knowing that you guys have a three-strike rule, that everything it's not behind closed doors necessarily. There's a lot of interaction with the community, especially when it affects a community at large. I think that's very important for individuals who are making a decision on whether they want to join the M&Ms or not, or the Maples. So, yeah, no, I think
Absolutely.
that's important.
One of my mottos I like to definitely follow is bosses boss and leaders lead. And I'm definitely always try to strive to be a leader and not a boss. I definitely try to lead as an example, lead from the front, all of that. I try to make sure that I'm setting myself as a good role model for everyone to kind of follow, and how they should present themselves or how they should interact with others.
Yeah. So we have a community member who, when you say that boss is boss and leaders lead, it reminds me, we have a community member who, for a while now, has been posting inspirational quotes every day inside our Discord, which has been uplifting. It's nice to see something nice, something that, whether you're going through having a nice easy day, or maybe you're struggling with things, you kind of log in and you see something that's, oh, hey, that's a new way of looking at life. When you said boss is boss and leaders lead, that just kind of struck me as a TJism. And that sort of thing. He usually listens to these chats, so a little name drop recognition is always fun. But yeah, no, I like that. I like that mentality. Boss is boss, leaders lead. I think keeping that in our forefronts as we go into this community-based game, the Chronicles of Elyria, is extremely important. So yeah.
Absolutely, everything. I mean, at the end of the day, it's it's video games, so we're all here to have a good time, have fun, and our groups try to incorporate that in all the decisions and things we do.
Yeah, so we yeah, in incorporating that's good. We talked about this a little bit before APOC, and I was talking with this whiskey a little bit. You like you said, you've got three mayor packages inside the Maples. Three different settlements. I mean, a lot of settlements focus on the same basic things. Your settlement template. You can't bake a cake without adding some flour. So there's always common elements. But we're looking for some of the uncommon elements, a little bit of information about your mayorship package, about your local community, and then as much as you can tell about the other two. Give us some information about these packages. Are you guys shooting towards one biome, another biome? Are there factors that you find very important when you place down, those sort of things, So, what can you tell us? Where are you going to go? Who are you going to be? In terms of your settlement, your package?
We have been looking over a few biomes, but what we're mainly kind of just waiting to decide on is what I believe there's like a military one of the races is like a military-like or military-esque race. So we're basically trying to figure out like where they would best fit in, and what kind of biomes and stuff like that. Since we have three packages, what my current packages in my town is going to be is mainly it's going to be like a foothold. I'm going to probably place it on the borders of the Kingdom of Ornair and Conclave, or maybe with other kingdoms, or just unfriendly neighbors. That way we can ensure the peace and the rest of the kingdom doesn't have to worry about day-to-day threats.
Yeah. And so you mentioned races back there. I'm gonna go back and then we're gonna go forward. You mentioned races back there. Looking at those PvP-like races. For those of you who are listening, haven't listened too much about the game. So the different races that they've released or who will be available upon release. Out of those, the ones that strike us most as PvP-like. I mean, you can create a PvP character on any of the races, of course. But if you want to focus on combat, the Broodveer, which are kind of like the Nords, kind of like northern, small villages, but there's a lot of them, at least based on what Soulbound Studios has released. There's the Dross, who adorn themselves in tattoos, and if you haven't proved yourself martially, you'll maybe be unmarked. And those are the two big PvP. There's other ones that are not going to be available on release who will probably smash things into the ground, like the Yoru, or maybe wrest control of the seas, like the Madari. But what APOC was talking about back there in terms of races was probably the Broodveer, probably the Dross, those sort of races like that. Or maybe it was the Genoa. The Dross are the plague like very hard to get them sick. I think it was the Genoa. My mistake. But you made it sound like there, APOC, that at the end of the day the race you choose didn't matter as much as the location and the type of gameplay that your community, your town would participate in. You're looking for a outside border so that you have that opportunity to participate in player versus player encounters, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I know as in Life is Feudal, you guys have run quite a few fun little excursions into other faction controlled areas. You've had fun, participating in the PvP events there. Chronicles of Elyria, as far as we know right now, you feel that's going to be similar, or do you think that's going to be different intrinsically?
I think excuse me, I'm eating. Our core values are definitely going to be able to transfer over between games. We have a very disciplined military and military structure. We ensure all those that are interested in player versus player are trained up to a certain standard that we have. That way, we know we can depend on them. We know they can depend on themselves if separated from the group. But also, I mean, like I said earlier, as for like crafting, we will ensure like all people that are interested in specifically crafting are always protected, and they have a trained military force around them to protect them at all times, and so they can do what they want in peace.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to bring up. Like PvP military is fun, is active, is great, but is sometimes hard to maintain without those support, like activities behind the scenes, crafting, food, other stuff like that. Especially when the developers have implied that the survival aspects they want to make sure that they're present and something that you have to be aware and thoughtful of when engaging in military conflicts. Which that's a lot of fun. That's good, I think. So it's good to know that you guys are looking to support. You're recognizing that there exists a need for crafting, for building structures, for farming, and other stuff like that. Even though the community at large enjoys PvP, that it's not exclusive like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, quick PvP like question for you. When you guys engage in PvP, whether it's in Life is Feudal, whether it's in other PvP games, you know, are you a split up and conquer, a small manageable groups that have autonomy and the ability to do what they deem is correct for the environment, or are you rigid lines and barrels out very, very, you mentioned you do training so that they can perform. And individuals who want to participate with your PvP teams, they need to know how to interface with the PvP teams that you guys have. Do you, which type do you guys like the most, I guess? Something a little more chaotic or something a little more rigid?
We perform in smaller units. When we bring out a large force, we break out the entire force into smaller units so that the unit fights together and there's not just mass chaos. And we have one commander direct the different units to do what they need to do. And then the squad leaders are able to deal with in combat situations and the unit can act appropriately. That way there's not too much chatter going on. And I think things can be accomplished a lot more with smaller units than just a large force working all together.
Yeah, and I mean, if your history is any indication, that's worked very well for you guys, right?
Absolutely. In Life is Feudal, we been fighting pretty much players from China and a lot of NA guilds that have sided with them, and we have used our tactics very effectively to repel them. And now they used to outnumber us about 4-1, and now that they're slowly starting to lose numbers because our effectiveness in combat.
Yeah, nobody likes to go up against a brick wall. You want to knock down the wall. You want to achieve things. It's good to know that you've been that wall for other people when it's do or die, when it affects your community, your records like that. So we've been talking about your settlement, your package, the place you want to be, the things you want to do, different stuff like that. As we've talked with other guests, other mayors, other counts, other individuals, we give them an opportunity to really plug in, some advertisements for things that they're excited about. An example of this is Count Tiberius Titus Magnus has a Colosseum and an Oktoberfest, and he's very excited to take those objects and create them into events for his community. Are there things that you guys have thought of inside your group that you want to plug right now? Things that are attractive about your area? I know that you guys said that you've got some dedicated military training. If you're looking to participate in PvP, whether it's with the Maples, with M&M or not, that's appealing. That's something that people will look out for. Are there other things that you've got that you'd like to plug right now?
Whiskey, I think that's your knowledge there.
I think we're just waiting a little bit more for the game to give us some information before we finalize any of that. We don't want to make any promises that we can't follow through with.
Yeah, no, that I understand that. I mean, we don't have a lot of hard information about there. I mean, for those of you new to the Chronicles of Elyria as a game, there's going to be a structure crafting system, building a house, building a barn, building fences, building roads, like the Life is Feudal game. There's a lot of parallels that could be drawn between those two games in terms of being able to interact with your environment, being able to do resource gathering, being able to refine and improve the area around you. I mean, you guys in Life is Feudal, you toppled a mountain, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't remember how long it took, how many people. I know it was quite a few of your members participating for a long period of time, but you had some major terraforming feats over there, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, where we decided to settle, there was a giant peak top of a mountain, and there was like one little spot where we originally started where we could actually stand on, and we stood on that spot and slowly over time leveled down the peak of the mountain to make it flat for us to live on top of. We had about 260 members concurrently actively working on that, along with other people working to feed the group and provide with other materials that it needs. So it was quite a project. I think it took us about 3 weeks to fully flatten that mountain before we were able to start throwing stone walls up and getting the buildings placed down that we needed to pretty much further progress.
Yeah, no, that's impressive. I mean, having 200 plus people being able to work on these large projects, that takes coordination, that takes effort, that shows a lot of drive within your community, and the Chronicles of Elyria being a game that when there's a will, there's a way, just like Life is Feudal, that bodes well. That's something that you're able to take on these major projects, whether they're tedious, like digging dirt is, or mining stone, or intricate, such as complicated campaigns and/or crafting high value things, or outreach based. Like I know a few members of the Maples spend a lot of time building relationships with other people inside the Life is Feudal game and establishing those relationships so that you could get the things that were not available to you at any given day. I mean, those are all great things, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so that we generally have 4 or 5 questions that we ask in here. We've talked about, the gaming background. I wanna give you guys a chance if there's things that I've missed, things that we haven't talked about, things that you are excited about or you want to plug. Give you a chance to talk about that. I assume, like any community, if people want to play Life is Fuel and join your area, they're able to go through a process. It's not necessarily IRS level documentation, but the ability to join in on the things that you're working on in the Chronicles of Elyria as a game and Life is Feudal as a game and other stuff like that. You're still accepting active members.
Absolutely. Yep. We're always accepting members. We just have kind of a little bit of a vetting process for you to make sure that they're a good fit for the group and that this is the right place for them. They're gonna have fun here.
Yeah, no, make sure that everybody enjoys the time that they have. Yeah, no, we look forward to seeing the principles, the leadership that you've described for the Maples for yourself um, become benefits, boons to you and yours and the playing style that everybody has there. I mean, we covered that pretty heavily there. I don't think there's too much that we missed. If I'm missing anything that you'd like to plug, once again, please do interrupt me.
Is there anything you wanted to say anything about?
I would like to suggest whiskey is better than tequila. That's about it.
That's fair.
Yeah, some friendly rivalry there, Whiskey.
Just a little bit.
All on a good day, right? And then yeah, we talked about your settlement, where you want to go, how you want to behave, what you want to do, on a border. Race isn't critical, but preferably one that benefits the gameplay that you guys want on that border, maybe a Broodveer, maybe a Genoa, those sort of things. Um, yeah, they like we said earlier, there's 3 mayor packages currently in the Ardent Maples that are planning on being in the Chronicles of Elyria to do well. I guess we didn't ask this. The 3 different mayor groups, the mayor packages, are they going to do 3 different things? You said yours was going to be more of a vanguard out in the front, focusing a little heavier on PvP things. The other ones, I assume, maybe focus a little bit more on support like roles or that sort of thing, or what is it all the same flavor?
I believe. Good.
I definitely believe we're going to be doing different flavors because we do have a lot of diverse members. Not everybody's interested in combat.
Yeah, so if you're interested in combat, reach out to APOC here. He can find a place, a way for you to achieve what you're hoping for. And if you're not, still reach out to APOC and Whiskey and Taco and or Nacho, sorry, Nacho and Pox, to see, hey, how this is the things that I'm interested. This is the things that I want to do, and how can you help me get involved in this community? I think you guys are. I'm not sure. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you've been living under a rock. Not that there's anything wrong with rocks, and you don't know about the wonderful word of the maples. Um, But if they want to find out more, they should definitely reach out to you guys, right?
Absolutely. There's Whiskey's actually working on a website that we have. It's ardentmaples.com. Have some videos that are posted on there and some information about us, what we're currently about. It's at its basic stages, but Whiskey's currently working on it, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, so if you're interested, if you like what you're hearing, if you're looking for communities to get involved in, ardentmaples.com. We'll put a link down in the description when it's posted to YouTube, and we hope to hear you get involved, to hear you, having more members. In our the Conclave of Aratar Discord, we see people who are a part of, you guys, the Maples, um, join in, fairly often. They say, hey, I'm here with APOC. I'm here with the Maples. I've come to do my diligence and integrate, interact, participate in the community at large. And I think that's great. There's a lot of activity on your guys' spheres.
Yeah, everyone enjoys having fun, so that's why they usually like to stick with us. So
Yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, we've asked about settlements, we asked about packages, we've talked about you guys. We've covered up some of the things or we've covered some of the things that we've missed in the past. I don't have any more questions for you, APOC and Whiskey. Um, yeah, like I said, if there's something that I'm missing, feel free to let me know. But as it stands right now, I'm gonna go into our goodbyes and that sort of thing. Um, is that all right?
sounds good. Yeah, absolutely. Just want to say for everyone that's watching, blessings of the maple upon you. May you bathe in the holy sap, and praise be its name.
Blessings of the Maple. I want to see that on a t-shirt.
I will make
APOC.
one eventually.
Yeah, make a t-shirt. I'll throw in my $15 for Blessings of the Maples bathe in its sap, preferably with a graphic on the back of sap and maples and that sort of thing. Something. I'm a not a comedian by trade, but you know,
You're doing a pretty good
I
job.
like funny things. But yeah, no. So before we get to our final goodbyes here, viewers, just a reminder that we, the guests and the hosts of Face the Conclave, hail from the Conclave of Aratar. If you or a friend is a part of the Aratarian community and you wish to have a similar spotlight for your group, maybe your school, your organization, your town, your county, reach out to Jadzia for scheduling. If you have a topic you'd like to talk about with the Illyrian community at large, be it crafting, politics, the economy, deviant lifestyles, PvP lifestyles, reach out to me, Aspicis, and we'll put something together to discuss in media form similar to this. Just a reminder, we try to hold these casts every Wednesday at 8 Eastern and Sundays usually around 4 Eastern. And I encourage you to join into the Twitch chat to discuss the topics in the interview. This has been Face the Conclave. I've been your host, Aspicis, along with our guests, Mayor APOC and Whiskey. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good night.